Hello, in this short lecture I will give you a couple of reasons why God doesn't exist. The first reason why God doesn't exist is that God is perfect and he would have never created an imperfect world. The second reason why God doesn't exist is that God would have never created the human beings that are capable to do evil and wrong things and sins and crimes and so on. Because of the fact that God is perfect, so from that reason he would have created creatures that are not capable to do wrong and evil and bad things at all. And we can ask the simple question why God created the human beings from the beginning. Does He want to put them to the test? So God actually creates something and then put it to the test. There is no sense in that feeling because God is perfect and is omnipotent, and so He can create from the beginning something that is perfect. Okay, and we also should remember that God knows what will happen in the future. So God knew that the human beings will do a lot of crimes and sins and evil and wrongdoings. So from that reason, he would have never created them at all. And from that reason, we can deduce that God actually didn't create the human beings, and from that reason, we can deduce that God doesn't exist. And the third reason why God doesn't exist is that God would have never created such a reality that there is so much violence and cruelty and so much murders and so much deaths and so much wars and so much poverty and anger and a lot of human sufferings and so on, and also so much natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and hurricanes, and so on. So God would have never created such world. And the fourth reason why God doesn't exist is that God would have never created such a reality that the very existence of the predator is his ability to kill other animal or animals in order to survive. So the lion must kill the deer or the lamb in order to survive. So such a reality that is so cruel would have never created by the God, because there is so much injustice in that reality. From that reason we can say that God doesn't created that reality, and from that reason we can say that God doesn't exist. Okay? And the fifth reason why God doesn't exist is that there are actually three monotheistic religions. Monotheistic is defined as belief in one God, or the oneness of the God, and those three monotheistic religions are actually the Judaism, the Christianity, and the Islam, and they are actually contradict each other in the description of how God created the world. And they are also don't have the same God. The God of the Judaism is not the same God as the God of the Christianity or the God of the Islam. So from that reason that there are a lot of contradictions between those religions and a lot of differences, we can say that all the religions are not true, they are fake. They are actually the invention of the human beings themselves, and God also was created by the human being. God was never existed, and God is the invention of the human being, of the human beings. So, from that reason, God doesn't exist. And the sixth the last reason why God doesn't exist is a logic reason. So we can say that logically it is impossible that God exists from the simple reason that we can ask a simple question that is, if God can create so big stone that he himself cannot lift, and if the answer to that question is positive, if the answer to that question is positive, we can say that God is not able to do something. That is to say, he is not able to lift the stone that he himself created, and for that reason we can deduce that God is not important. And if the answer to that question is negative, we can say that God is not able to create such a big stone that he himself cannot lift, and we can deduce the same conclusion from this and say that God is not important. And from that example we can deduce that it is impossible that such an entity that is important actually exists. And from that reason, we can say that God doesn't exist at all. And so that was the sixth reason that explains why God doesn't exist. And those were all the reasons that explain why God doesn't exist at all. Okay? Thank you very much.